Well, hello there. As the title of the video seems to indicate, this is a very quick update video for those of you who are interested. Two reasons really. One, I want to say hello to all of those who have joined the channel in the last few weeks. We've seen since May the subscriber base double in size, which is fantastic, and I hope those of you who have joined have been enjoying the content that's been coming out. And I kind of wanted to just say hello, introduce myself for those of you who are interested. By all means, some of you might not be interested in the person behind the channel, which is absolutely fine. And just kind of give a bit of a more general update for those of you who have been around for a while, because, you know, we're coming to the height of summer. Things are getting a bit hectic, and so you might be interested in knowing, well, what's going to happen, anything in the pipeline in terms of plans, and there's kind of a yes and no answer to that, so I'll get to that in just a bit. But for those of you who are new, you might at some point be thinking, I'm sure I recognise you or have heard your voice or have seen you around. That might well be the case. Chances are probably not, but I did have another channel that I used to run before this one, which started about a year and a half ago, and that was a channel called My Name is Simon, and it was mostly a reaction channel. I'd been running it for about 8-9 years before I jumped over to do this, and it was relatively successful. I got over 30,000 subscribers. There was a lot of variety there, which was kind of both the benefit and the detriment of the channel. And I used to release videos almost daily, as I say, doing mostly reactions, and I kind of just got a little bit burnt out of doing that type of content, the daily content. And so I decided, you know, towards the back end of 2023 to just kind of hang that channel up and just move on. I'd always loved making Star Wars content, whether it was reaction videos, gameplay videos, just talking about Star Wars. It was always something that I found great motivation with. And, you know, being a huge Star Wars fan all my life, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make a Star Wars channel where I can just make content dedicated to talking about that. And it was going to be chill, it was going to be at my own pace, it wasn't going to be anything super serious. I wasn't going for, you know, success or subscriber numbers or viewership. I was just going for something that I could continue to make videos, continue to express my kind of creativity, and keep myself busy, and also just try and maybe foster a little bit of a community, you know, to be able to meet new people, and to talk about Star Wars. Because, you know, whilst I know Star Wars has had some troubles in recent times, I do think it's still in quite a strong position. You know, we're still getting a lot of content. When you look back over the last 10 years, we've had a whole host of shows and movies and comics and games. And it really has been, in terms of quantity of content, a great time. Now, I know people will argue about the quality of that content, and that's fine. That's not really an argument I want to get into. You know, I'll go into my personal opinions on the quality of Star Wars shows as and when they come out, or during the live streams that I tend to throw out every now and then. But in these kinds of videos, I try and keep myself as separated from my opinion of the shows and just make the content based on them, you know, the characters, the stories, and the events and news that are going on, without the kind of influence of my own personal opinion, which is really hard to do, really hard. But yes, so I started this channel sort of at the very end of December 2023, and as I say, I've just really kept it casual until sort of the last 2 months, where I decided to change things up slightly. I decided to start making shorter form videos, a little bit more focused in on specific topics such as characters, events, and I found it's really worked well, not just because the videos have been really successful, but because I found that fitting them into my schedule and, you know, not suffering from lack of motivation or burnout has really been a big benefit. Because making those shorter form videos, they're easier to write, they're easier just to kind of create, because creativity isn't always my strongest point. You know, if I do come across an idea, then that's great, I'll run with it, but they don't always come across, you know, my mind. And so thinking about things in a smaller form makes it easier. And as a result, I've been able to make 1 or 2 videos a week for the last 2 months straight, and it's been really refreshing. Whether that's going to be something that I can continue going forward is another question. And that's kind of where it brings me to more of a personal update. So there's been a lot of change, not just because the channel has grown and, I've started making more videos, but over the last couple of months, things in my personal life have really begun to change as well. Just even this weekend, two big things have happened that have been in the works for quite a while. The first thing is that I have been promoted at my own work, which is fantastic because it's career progression, it's more money, but it brings along some uncertainties because I'm not quite sure how it's going to affect my time, my personal life. So I start that job tomorrow, Monday, and that's going to be a big challenge, but one I'm looking forward to. The other big change was I became a homeowner last week. And again, that's been in the works for quite a while, for the last 6 months or so. This is now my home. I've rented it for a number of years, and I've been very fortunate to be able to purchase it from the landlord. But as anyone who has bought a house knows, these things take time. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of frustrations that go into it. And so that's been something that has taken time. But as of Friday, this now is my home. I am a homeowner. I am a proper full-grown adult at the age of 37, and I'm feeling very, very good about that. So that's kind of two big things that have happened. Obviously, owning the home comes with its own extra responsibilities, but also it's a big thing off my mind now that that's done and dusted. The new job, there's kind of unknown potentials there. Also, there's unknown risks, so that's also something now that's going to be ongoing. But also, another thing that's going to play on my ability to, create as many videos as I have and my free time is the football season, or for those of you in America, the soccer season is about to start in August. And so anyone who, again, knows me or has been following me for a while, you've seen me wear these tops, the team that I support, Tranmere Rovers. It's a big, I'd say it's probably the biggest passion in my life next to Star Wars. I'm very, very fortunate that I get to volunteer and help at the club. But it does mean that, again, a lot of my time will be dedicated to that when the season starts next month. There's going to be a few long journeys for away games, and even on the Saturdays when we play home games, there's going to be a lot of time invested into that. So between that, the new job, I'm not quite certain how the future is going to look in terms of productivity. I'm definitely still aiming to get at least one video a week out. But what also comes along with that is, again, that idea of how creative can you remain? With Star Wars not having a huge amount of content coming up until next year, because, again, Ahsoka Season 2 is in production at the moment, but we're not getting that till probably fall next year. The Maul show doesn't come out until next year. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie doesn't come out until next year. This year, we've only got, I think, a Lego special that's coming out later on. And that's it. I'm not really aware of anything else. I think Visions Season 3, but again, that's going to be something that isn't... because it's non-canon, sure, they're great to watch. They're really good stories. It doesn't really do much to help with content creation, though. Outside of maybe doing reviews or reactions to them. So again, there's those hurdles that might crop up further down the line. I've got a few video ideas in the bag that, again, I'm kind of slowly spreading out. I don't want to be making video after video after video because I want to kind of save them to make sure that there is consistency rather than like just throwing up all these videos onto the internet in a really short space of time and then there being nothing for a while. So that's kind of the plan there. And I'm hoping that, I'll be able to do a few more live streams now that I've got some big stuff out the way. And, one of those things is to do a Clone Wars rewatch. I've been talking about this now for a couple of months, but I want to go back through and rewatch the Clone Wars in chronological order, which is something I've never done. So I'll do a little video to let people know when I'm planning on doing that, because I'll do the rewatch with you guys on the channel, because I'm sure there's a few of you who would be interested in that. But other than that, that's everything in terms of an update. So once again, for those of you who are new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy things. I hope you stick around. Thank you for, again, your support. For those who've been around for a while, a little bit of an update on, events in my life and what's coming up over the next couple of months. And that's it. I hope that you're all doing well. Again, thank you very much for the wonderful support over the last few weeks, and hopefully it's going to continue onwards. So by all means, if you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. But I'm going to sign off now. It is Sunday evening. I'm going to enjoy the rest of it whilst I can. But thank you again for watching. Thank you for your support. And I will see you around.